I want you being at a place where you're not really thinking about food all that much and you feel really confident that you're doing the right things to feel good in your body. And I want it to not all be about just making the scale go down. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sweatable podcast. My name is Brooks Herbis, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you simplify and make sense out of the all too confusing fitness and nutrition industry. Let's be real, there's a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change. But I'll also be sharing real-life practical application, because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can actually apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Sweat Simple podcast. Today, I am sharing a little bit more about my own health and fitness journey and what I would do differently if I was starting today. Because if you guys don't know, this is like the true reason that I became a coach. Because in my early 20s, like through college, after college, I really struggled with yo-yo dieting. I was always gaining and losing the same 10 to 20 pounds. I felt like I was doing everything right. I did everything wrong. Like any fad diet that you can remember from that like early 2010s period, I did it. I tried Whole30, but not fully, because at the time I was like, I can't cut out alcohol. I was limiting dairy because Khloe Kardashian said that it caused belly fat. Why was I listening to Khloe Kardashian for health and fitness information? I cut out sugar. I fell into the all of my food should have less than 5 ingredients. I did it all, you guys. And obviously none of it was successful, and it was really frustrating because I remember during that time I felt like I couldn't get a straight answer. I felt like every single week there was some new fad diet, there was some new best method, there was something different that I should be doing, but I would do those things and I still wouldn't see results. And it took me so long to not only lose the weight and keep it off, but then also feel normal about food again, to stop demonizing foods. And it's funny because even now I've been out of that for, over 8 years, and I still have remnants of that. I'm trying, for example, I still get lattes with almond milk in it, and now it's to the point where I prefer that. But that started because I thought that dairy milk was bad and I shouldn't be eating it. So, so it's funny how even now I'm fully out of that phase. I have fully healed my relationship with food. I still have those remnants from my disordered eating days. And this is why I became a coach, because I want to make all of this a lot clearer for you. I want to help you guys stop this cycle a heck of a lot sooner than I did. I don't want you feeling frustrated about fat loss. I don't want you feeling afraid of food. I don't want you feeling like you are working so hard with no results. And it's why I became a coach. So I wanted to take an episode to share all the things, not all the things, we don't have that much time, but a lot of the things that I did wrong and how I would do them differently now with all the information that I have, so that hopefully if you're doing some of these things or you're considering some of these things, we can get you out of this cycle a heck of a lot quicker than I ever did. Because I have been there. I know how frustrating it is to feel like you're working really hard, to be thinking about food all the time, to feel like you can't fully enjoy your life because you're always on some diet. And then when you do allow yourself to enjoy your life, you immediately feel guilty and you feel like you messed up. I have been there. I know what that's like, and I don't want that for you anymore. I want you being at a place where you're not really thinking about food all that much and you feel really confident that you're doing the right things to feel good in your body. And I want it to not all be about just making the scale go down. So that really brings me to the first thing I would do differently is if I was redoing this all again, starting fresh at the age of like 20 years old, but these apply at any age, I wouldn't focus just on weight loss. That would not be my single goal. And I want to be clear, fat loss can absolutely be a goal. That is a good health and fitness goal, but I wouldn't make it the only goal. I wouldn't make the end goal to be, I need the scale to go down. Because when I think back at that time, I had all of these food rules. I had foods I could eat, food I couldn't eat. I was always like cutting foods out. I was hungry and miserable a lot of the time, and it's because my only goal was to lose weight. So every weekend though, when I wanted mozzarella sticks or I started drinking or my friends suggested brunch, all of a sudden the motivation to lose weight went out the window because that is not super motivating. Only doing things to lose weight to make the scale go down, it doesn't really feel sticky in the moment. So what I wish I did instead was to find more intrinsic motivation rather than that extrinsic motivation of fat loss. Extrinsic motivation, so how other people are viewing you, how you look in your clothes, weight loss in general, those are all more extrinsic types of motivation. Those are never going to be as motivating in the moment. So if that's what you're focusing on right now, that's why your motivation feels like it's ebbing and flowing. Because if we're only focusing on these external validations, it doesn't feel super motivating to keep doing these habits up on a regular basis. So instead, I would focus on more intrinsic motivation things. So things like how you want to feel every day, how you feel when you get to the gym and work out, like having more energy, how you feel when you eat certain foods. Those are how you're going to find habits that you actually like and that you stick to long term. Because think of that same example of going to, the brunch table and your friends are all getting bottomless mimosas and, sharing like 10 beignets and whatever it might be. If you're only focused on making the scale go down and you only care about weight loss, you're probably always going to pick the bottomless mimosas and the tater tots and the really delicious brunch food because you're like, yeah, I don't care. I want to enjoy this day with my friends. But on the flip side, if you're presented with all of those things and in your head, you're like, yeah, but you know what? I don't like how those things like make me feel. Like I don't feel the best when I eat those things. That could actually get you to make a different decision. So instead of only focusing on weight loss and making the scale go down, I want you all to find some intrinsic motivation, some deeper why behind doing this, probably around how these habits are making you feel rather than just are these habits making you lose weight, because that is going to be so much more motivating long term than only focusing on what the scale is doing. So that is number one. I would stop focusing just on weight loss, and I would instead find some sort of intrinsic motivation and some deeper reason behind doing these habits. Why do you like these habits? How do these habits make you feel? The other thing that I would do differently is I wouldn't try to control my weight loss through my workouts. I thought that I had to work out 6 days a week, and those workouts had to burn 400 plus calories or they weren't working. I was mostly focused on cardio, and even if I was lifting weights, I was always ending every session with some sort of like hit or cardio in general. And what this was really doing was leaving me really hungry, which then made eating in a calorie deficit really difficult. And what I didn't realize was that calories burned is not an effective way to measure your workouts. And the workouts that build the most calories aren't really the most effective for changing your body composition and helping you build muscle. So I wouldn't try to control my weight loss through my workouts. Instead, I would learn what are the types of workouts that are going to be effective for my goal. And for the most part, we don't exercise to lose weight. We exercise to build muscle, which can help change our body composition, to get stronger, to improve our cardiovascular health. There are lots of different reasons. And when we think about weight loss, we want to think about our nutrition. So instead of trying to control your weight loss through your workouts, I would instead use your nutrition to funnel your weight loss and think about the types of workouts that are going to be most effective for your overall goals. And if it's building muscle, changing your body composition, that's probably going to be formal strength training. But think about that as opposed to just like, hey, can I burn as many calories as possible with this goal? The other thing that I would do is I wouldn't try to use meal plans, and I would instead learn more about my foods that I was eating and probably do something like calorie counting and developing long-term eating skills so that I wouldn't have to track forever. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with Bikini Body Guide. Now I think it's called Sweat, but back in the day it was BBG. And along with their workout plans, they had these meal plans that you could purchase too. And I always would just try to follow that meal plan. And I thought if I could just stick to that meal plan for 30 days, then I would be good. But it wasn't, I always fell off the meal plan because some of the meals were like pretty intensive and I wasn't super interested in cooking. I also worked a desk job and it wasn't easy. The foods in the meal plan weren't easy to bring to work. And looking back, I had no idea if the amount of food that those meal plans were recommending were appropriate at all for my height or for my weight. And I know it feels really tempting to just follow food rules or follow a meal plan because you don't have to think about it. It doesn't set you up for long-term success because you're not actually learning what your unique body needs. You're not incorporating the foods that you actually enjoy, and you're not thinking about your unique life circumstances. Like, hey, I work a desk job. Hey, I don't love to cook. Hey, my family is full of picky eaters and I need to account for that. So instead of just trying to blindly follow a meal plan or food rules, I want you guys to actually get the education. So, like I said, with my clients, I typically focus on calorie tracking to get the education about proper portion control and properly fueling your body. And then we pair that with developing mindful eating skills and long-term eating habits. So things like understanding your fullness levels, knowing, how to stop eating when you are full, understanding if you're eating out of true hunger or something like stress or emotion. Those things, that education, that mindful eating, that is going to get you so much further and help you maintain your results long term than just trying to follow a 30-day meal plan. Because when you get the education and you develop the long-term eating skills, suddenly you start to learn what and how much to eat in any situation in order to reach your goals. You don't have that roadblock of like, oh shoot, my friend invited me for dinner and this isn't in my meal plan and what do I do? You have the education, you know what to do. And that's how we set you up for long-term success. It's not about just like quickly following a program. It's about you being successful long term and gaining the skills that you really want to have for life. So the other thing that I would do differently is I wouldn't program hop. I mentioned at the start of this podcast that I was always following some new diet, some new program. I shouldn't eat gluten. I couldn't eat dairy, but actually dairy was really high in protein. I shouldn't eat processed foods, but then it sounds like all foods are processed. Like there was so much conflicting information and I was always just trying something new in order to get like the quote unquote best results, but it always just had me doing too much. I always felt like I was just really restricted, like I was just hopping from one thing to the next, and I was never actually doing anything consistently as a result. So instead of program hopping, I would find a method that I knew would work really well for me, and I would stick to it super consistently for like at least 3 months, if not longer than that, which is why it's super important to find something sustainable. So it probably wouldn't be something like cutting out foods anymore. But that is like the biggest thing is instead of program hopping, I want you to find the method that's going to work for you and that's going to allow you to be most consistent for the longest period of time. And right along into that, I would honestly probably hire a coach. I would hire a coach a heck of a lot sooner than I did to help me get over this hurdle. Someone that I really trusted, who would take all of the guesswork out of this for me, who would actually teach me how much I should be eating to fuel my body. what the correct method of fat loss would be for me, how I could develop these long-term eating skills that I was just talking about. Because I wasted years, you guys, trying to do this on my own, spinning my wheels, feeling super, super frustrated, feeling like I was working really hard and never seeing any results. And if I had just hired a coach when I was initially struggling, instead of trying to like grit through this and think that I could piece together all of my little internet puzzle information pieces on my own, I would have saved a lot of time. So obviously, I am a coach. Obviously, I would love to work with you guys so that you're not constantly jumping from one shiny penny to the next. I want to eliminate all of that guesswork. I want to help you guys and give you my years of experience and education so that you can get to your goal a heck of a lot quicker. And if that sounds like what you want, if you want to cut through the BS and you want to feel really confident that you're doing the right things instead of wasting months and months more spinning your wheels and questioning it, just apply for coaching in my bio. It just gets the conversation starting so we can learn a little bit more about each other, kind of see what you're struggling with, and see if you'd be a good fit for your program. Because like I said, the whole reason that I became a coach was to get you guys out of the cycle that I was in when I started my fitness journey. I don't want you guys thinking about food all the time. I don't want you feeling like you are constantly choosing between living your life or making progress towards your goals. Like, I want you to see that all of this is so possible for you. It's why I became a coach. It is my bread and butter. It is why I'm here. And I really would love to help you get to that place too. So if you're interested, you can just apply in the show notes and we will chat a little bit more. But in general, I hope you take at least one of these away from this episode. And if you have already been doing some of these things, I hope this is just a little bit of a light bulb moment as to like, okay, maybe that's why I'm not seeing progress. Like, this is something I could change. Because it is about those small tweaks to start ultimately getting different results. So that is all I've got for you guys. Don't forget that I pick one person every single month to win a free personalized fat loss blueprint with me. All you have to do to enter is share this on your stories and tag me or leave a review of the podcast. But let me know which of these things, if you're doing one of them, you're going to start to change so that you can get out of this cycle of working really hard with no results. All right, that's all I've got for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon.